Yo, everybody.
Hey, how goes? Welcome, Bench Talk Live. We are going to talk about some cool stuff today. We're just waiting for Luke to get on. He's been pretty swamped with work. Scott on here already. Hey, how's it going, Scott? So today's topics, we are going to be talking, well, as soon as Luke ever gets here, about the new XRAY X4 and first impressions. Luke is a team driver for XRAY, and this weekend he actually had a chance to get out there and try out the new platform and see if he liked it or not. So that'll be cool. We'll find out that.
Cool looking. Definitely cool looking.
It looks really cool. Like, it looks super sleek. I did have some video up here of him ripping around. It's kind of glitchy because I shot it in really high resolution, which StreamYard does not want to broadcast through. There he is. There's Mr. Luke. There's Mr. Pittman right there.
What's up, guys?
Like we were talking about you or something.
Well, weren't you?
Of course we were. So
bad things about you.
Yeah.
I mean, good things. Yeah.
So everybody say hi to Luke. This is Luke. Hi,
everybody.
Luke. Let's put a couple of shiny things up here, and so we got some stuff to talk about. So what I got going here is I have the XRAY 2021 and the X4. So the T4 and the X4.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke down here is going to explain the big differences to us between what happened with why they changed things over. And so where do you want to get started? What's the biggest thing we want to talk about is going to be, let me find a shot here of the chassis. The big differences here in the chassis.
Well, I mean, it's not only just the chassis. I mean, the whole thing is drastically different.
Right.
The suspension, the arms, the top deck. Everything. It's a whole complete new platform. X-Ray's been developing it for, I believe, 3 years in the background, while they've been still continuing to support and work on the T4.
Right.
And let's be honest, we have to admit that the design and the coming to the market of the Automatics really forced other manufacturers to rethink their basically their geometry and their design ideas. So
their layout.
Yeah, the layout. I mean, they've got the center of gravity so much lower, and they've got the suspension geometry, the length of the arms, the length of the drive shafts, pivot points of the axles. All those things were obviously very well engineered. What came or what happened, I think, that caused the need for that was the increased grip that we've been racing on. So, on lower grip stuff, asphalt and gray carpet, the old style suspension, the T4 style suspension was very, very good. But as grip started to increase, tires got softer, traction compound started to be, more potent and I guess aggressive. The need to redesign the suspension came about to support all that extra grip and extra downforce, in addition to faster motors. So the cars are going faster than they ever have, right? So X-Ray had to take a step back and look at what the Automatics was doing. In turn, which Mugen also looked at, and Serpent, and basically all of the main manufacturers all got on board of this style of design. So this is X-Ray's take on it.
So I guess, obviously platform, the whole thing is all different. But the biggest thing that jumps out at you right away, biggest visual change when you look at it right off the bat is, I'll get to these little suckers right here. These guys right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is one of the points that X-Ray
nope, let's not do that.
kind of they did a little different than other manufacturers.
I lost
it. I don't believe X-Ray is the first company to insert carbon fiber into plastic. I know that there's other arms you can buy where you screw carbon fiber plates into plastic arms.
Right.
But the process in which X-Ray achieves what they have with the carbon fiber actually pressed into and inlaid in the addition of the plastic arm.
Get back to it again here.
Yeah, it is something that they have patented, and they believe it has the best of both worlds of the carbon fiber feel, the stiffness and rigidness of the carbon fiber with the durability and the flexibility of the plastic. So, it's the team's belief that this is really the best of all worlds.
So I never had a chance to really look at yours up close. I didn't look at it that closely. I also never saw it apart. You had it all assembled and ready to rip on the track. These inserts here, are these like a tight press fit in? Like I know one of the things they were trying to do with the carbon fiber and the plastic is they were trying to get rid of the sloppiness that happens with some of them, like Maddox, which I have one here. Once those carbon fiber arms start, the little ball cap plastic pieces, they start to wear out, right? And then
I think you're going to find that in anything of this shape, like even in our full size cars, your stuff wears out. So it is a very tight and very precise fit when you snap those ball studs into the arm, and you use the Huddy multi-tool here. I got one too. I actually think we talked about the multi-tool last time I was on.
Oh yeah, I think so.
I don't know where it is, but I got it somewhere.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about. They're multi-tool to pop in ball cups.
Yeah, I've got mine.
One of us must have one.
I've got it in my race kit.
Oh, here it is. I got it, Travis.
Yeah, that guy. Those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have one of these, you pretty much have to have one. This is kind of a requirement for this car, for any car, in my opinion. Yeah. So everything's a really, really snug fit. I like that there's not the traditional camber links like they had before with the ball cup and the ball stud. This fit is definitely a little tighter. And you can tell when you build it. But again, you don't want it perfectly tight, though. You want the suspension free and everything. So there should be a tiny bit of play in everything.
Right, but we're talking quarter of a millimeter instead of a millimeter of play.
Yeah, if you got a millimeter of play, you've definitely got some work to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have some issues.
Yeah. So your first impression on it when you were running it, you seemed pretty impressed.
Yeah, it's certainly different than the previous car. This last weekend obviously was my first time on the track with it, and right from the get-go, like I built it right absolutely to the kit settings. So followed the manual and built it as per the manual, put it on the track, and I was fast right away. I wasn't as fast as I had my T4, but the car was very easy to drive, very stable. It didn't take long for me to get the settings right to make it have a little bit more steering and do the things that I wanted.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big things I noticed a lot of talk about was these shock towers on the front, how they are separate from, like they're not like your standard carbon fiber like the 2021 had, where it was this carbon fiber piece across the front or across the top that your shock towers or your shocks are mounted to. These actually allowed a little bit of flex. So how much adjustment is there in the I know there's a spacer you can put in here to stop the flex from this way.
Yeah, you can limit the flex a little bit. As far as I know, everybody on the team guys have all been running it except for one guy that removed. But I haven't personally removed them yet to test with it.
Okay. What's the advantage?
Well, as soon as you eliminate flex, you are basically making that end of the car more stable.
Right.
So it becomes easier to drive. Like when you want to start to achieve more grip at one end of the car, you generally would start to make that end of the car flex a little bit more. There's already so many flex settings in the chassis that we don't really, I haven't got to play with that one yet.
How much time do you think you put in on this car just the weekend that we were just this weekend, or have you had a chance to?
No, that was it. Like I built it. I built both of them Thursday before the club race, and then we raced Saturday and Sunday. So that's all I've had with it. And then Saturday night is when I kind of made the most progress with it. And then Sunday, it was just really minor little tweaks and testing a couple of bigger things.
So you were fast with it right out of the box. That was obvious. Like I said, I'd show the video, except it really kind of lurches. But I mean, do you see yourself being half a second a lot faster with this platform as opposed to the old one?
That depends entirely on track size. It's a lot harder to be a half a second quicker on a tiny track. Right. I actually think still right now I'm slower than I previously was. I just don't have enough time with the car yet.
Right.
You know, don't forget that with the T4, like I've been working on that car for 7 years almost to the weekend actually. That was the T4 was the first car I ever had, and that was 7 years ago that I bought it. So I've had 7 years to work on that car and understand the setup and the theory and the weight transfer and all those different things, and all that is completely different on this car. So starting again.
Right.
Talk to me in 7 years, I guess.
Talk to you in 7 years.
No, it won't take me that long. I'm heading down to Richmond this weekend to go race with those guys down there, and I suspect I'll have it mostly figured out by the end of that weekend. And then the following weekend we have a club race again, and then the Monday I immediately head to Cleveland for the indoor champs. So that'll be the real test to see where the pace is, because I know where I should stand up against most of those guys.
Just going to find a picture here that I thought was quite interesting as well. This here. So body post style. I mean, I love this. This is freaking awesome, because one of the things I hate about mounting a body is 9 times out of 10, these back posts end up going right on the curve of the back window or some part of the body line.
Oh, for scale spec, yeah, that can be a pain in the butt for scale spec.
Yeah, right. And now you've got your body posts are coming straight out the back, going to the back bumper, basically. Or bumper, bumper, right?
So on the car, you have the option of mounting vertical or horizontal like that in that picture on the right. And I still have mine mounted vertical. Personally, I don't think there's a tremendous amount of advantage in touring car to running them horizontal. And in fact, I think you actually might lose a little bit of downforce, because the body posts, just flex. My opinion, I could be wrong, but they might flex a little bit and take some of that. I do intend to try it one day. Just there's so many other things to test first.
Yeah, stick with what you know for now.
Yeah, well, what I don't know.
Right.
So I got to learn all the basics of the car first.
It does make a nice clean look.
Oh, it's gorgeous. So the last couple of years, X-Ray has been really working on fine tuning that T4 platform in terms of little details like, changing the spur gear and the battery backstops and the battery hold downs and like all the kind of the little extra stuff that it doesn't really affect the performance, but just makes the car that much nicer to work on. And they really made that a focal point of the X4. And you can tell that because they have, the battery backstops in the motor mount also act as belt tensioners. They're equidistant from the spur gear. They're already built and set up for the exact perfect distance away from the chassis or from the center line of the vehicle. So your battery is about 1 millimeter away from your spur. The battery hold downs they included, you're not using tape anymore. They're fully adjustable. Just all the little details they absolutely nailed. The fact that you can change the spur gear without taking anything out of the car, you basically just undo 3 screws and pop the spur gear off and put a new one on. It's easy.
Yeah, that's pretty slick.
Yeah, it is. There's a number of really, really nice little subtle features like that.
So, Aaron, you tell me, what do you want to ask? You've been racing more than me. What are your questions? Fire away.
What was like the feel of the car, like initially?
It definitely so it was rounder in the corners to me. I had my T4 was kind of it rotated either it was either pushing mid corner or it rotated really hard and was very hard to drive. The X4 just feels rounder, more linear in the corners. You can tell it's definitely capable of carrying more corner speed, and I think that's mostly due to the fact that the axles are in line with basically what would be considered a kingpin. The pivot point of the axles are directly in line with that kingpin, and I think all those little things come together to make it just feel more planted, easier to drive, and just carrying that corner speed easier with less setup work. I think the setup window on the T4 is very fine to get to that point where you're constantly competing in the upper end of the racer at you start getting into a narrower and narrower setup window. And I suspect the X4 is going to be a larger setup window. I think it's going to be more capable and be less reliant on having a perfect setup.
Yeah, so they can get away with, going from round 2 grip to round 3 grip and not doing changes, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to do little things like that no matter the car. But I just mean like to get your car so it feels good on any track, I think is going to be slightly easier with the X4 than the T4.
So for setup stuff, like your general adjustments and stuff are pretty much all the same style of setup. Like, do you find changing camber, caster just as easy to do on this platform, the new one, as it was the old?
Camber, in my opinion, is a little bit actually harder on this one. Some are going to say it's easier because of the way it's designed, but I think it's a little bit not harder because it's not hard, but it's a little bit more finicky just because of the style of that design. The caster is just simply inserts. So You just take out one insert, put a different one in, and put the screws back on. It takes only a few minutes to change. Both front and rear now. We have rear caster management now versus the T4, which you can only get that by using different hubs. The rest of it, like the roll centers the upper roll centers are very easy to adjust. The lower roll centers are more difficult to adjust. Although XRAY is making some shims to make that a little bit easier. The flex settings obviously are quite simple. I'm still getting used to it. I don't really love how you adjust the low roll center, but I'm not sure how else they would have done it.
Right.
You have to finally hold a 1 or 2 or 1.5 mil worth of shims in a little spot and feed a screw through without it sliding around. It's quite finicky. So
you have to hold your tongue just the right way.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you do. So I think the lower roll center, I think I found the setting that I like, and I'm just going to leave it there now until I sell the car.
See if they got an image that zooms it in a little better so you can see.
There you go.
Yeah, that one there shows you. So the
little shim.
The little 2 mil shim on the left side of that arm.
I'm gonna change it. As soon as I change it, it changes it. Try to make it bigger. Make it bigger, Captain. Well, we'll get there.
Keep scrolling.
There we go.
Scrolling.
Yeah, so on the left side of that arm that's disassembled, the left front, you'll see that 2 mil shim sitting on the bottom. That one there, yeah. So that's the one that sits between the ball stud and the pivot ball and the chassis. So you have to actually thread a screw up through the chassis, through that 2 mil into the pivot ball, which while you're building the car is easy, but once it's assembled and you're trying to do it in a rush between rounds, it's very annoying. So
right.
Like I said, I found the settings I like, and I likely won't change them now. So I'll work on another setup.
So I guess good question. The settings that you're running on this thing, obviously you didn't just pull them out of thin air. How long do you think the guys from XRAY over in Europe have been running and working with this platform. So they've been able to kind of ballpark it for everybody so you can get it out there and get going.
Yeah, well, so I don't know for certain, but my guess would have been about 3 years ago, I heard they started the development of it. So about 2 years was probably spent engineering and designing parts and all that. And then they probably started the testing a year ago. And in Europe, I know that Alex and Bruno and Martin and perhaps other guys have been running it for about 6 months, I would say. Maybe a little bit more. And then here in North America, Drew, Robbie, and Max have all been testing with it on black carpet for a few months as well, or maybe longer, maybe 6 or 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so within that testing, Drew, kind of came up with the starting setup that's posted on the XRAY site for the car on black carpet. And that's, it's very close to what's in the manual. It's a little bit different. I went with the kit setup that was in the manual. I don't know why, just because I wanted to start for myself, right? And
you might as well start where everybody else might start.
Well, the funny thing is I pretty much ended up right where they are anyway, so they could have saved me half a day. But, but that's how you learn, right?
Right.
I don't really like just putting setups on the car. I like learning.
Just looking. So Jared's got a comment here to make a shim like the 12 scale car uses for the front.
Yeah,
J-Rod shim that covers both pivots.
They have that coming. It's in the manual. They have it coming. There's worry that it's going to change the flex of the chassis too much. So we just have to get it and see.
So that would basically anchor both sides of the chassis together, kind of.
Yes, exactly. It's gonna brace it across. But what you may do is use that just to kind of fine tune or get a rough idea of the feel. Excuse me. And then once you get the feel of the height you want, go back to the shims to get the same roll center height without the additional stiffness in the chassis.
Right.
Well, I know in the past, like the T4 chassis, the front was braced, and the rear was, the back is braced, and the front to the rear are open to float, kind of thing. So would you do some tuning like that in the future? Like, okay, I want to stiffen up the rear a little bit or the front. I'll put the shim going from side to side, but I'll leave like this, the front part of the arm kind of free to move independently.
Yeah, I don't know. They might do something like that. The rear is braced across by the rear shock mount.
So you get a better shot of it there. That's kind of it there, eh?
Yeah, that's the rear. So that's the shock mount braces the bulkheads. And then on the front of the car, there's a graphite brace that you can put in the front, and there's an aluminum brace that goes behind the front lower mount, I guess. Can't see it in that. I wonder if you can see it on the car.
I'm just wondering if they even have a picture of it up here. Well, here's kind of a picture of their front mount, but
yeah, the brace is on the other side. Anyway, there are some stiffness and some flex options that you can play with.
Okay.
I started with all of them on the car, and then I took them off from the front toward the back as I was testing each run, and I found I liked the car a little bit better as I removed flex options. And then I ended up actually putting the flex or stiffening up the top deck a little bit, kind of halfway through the day, and thought the car was a little bit better.
I'm just going to try and find a shot here of the top deck so you can kind of explain. On this one, is it very much different for stiffening up the top deck than it was for the old T4 platform?
Well, it is and it isn't. So the T4 platform had some stiffness settings in it as well.
Right.
There was, depending on how far back you go, there was various things like a steering post that you could install. Or at one point, there was even the 4 screws surrounding the spur gear that you could put in the middle. So this car has similar flex settings. I don't know if it's going to work well.
Let me make your picture bigger here. All right.
So you can kind of see these holes right there. That one, and those two. And those you can insert these shouldered screws into. and they will make it stiffer. And the reason they do that, there's actually 4 of them. There's 2 on either side, because they also have a split top deck design you can do too, where it's not connected down the middle. So you need those 2 to keep it solid.
Right.
I don't have that, and I haven't played with having any more than the 2 shoulder screws in. But I did play with the bearing and the 2 shouldered screws. I thought that was a bit too stiff, so I took out the bearing, and the 2 shouldered screws closest to the spur gear I thought was really good. I'm not sure how that'll translate on really high bite. I kind of suspect it might promote a little bit of snap traction rolling if it's that stiff, but find out in 2 weeks.
Near the end of the weekend there, did you even have any issue with traction rolling? I didn't see any.
Yeah, I did a couple of times. I was just starting to get that. I generally, for some reason, I don't know, I generally have pretty good luck, and I don't end up in a spot where I'm traction rolling because I kind of know how to glue the tire as I go. I also would consider myself quite a smooth on the wheel driver. So when there's not that abrupt weight transfer.
Yeah, I also find, like with our carpet where we race, we're putting it down, taking it up, putting it down, taking it up every weekend, right? If there's a permanent facility like up in Edmonton at 110, it's laid down all the time. And the traction that carpet gets, because it just keeps on building and building and building, and compound goes down. I mean, you literally walk on that carpet, and then you walk on the floor, and you leave black marks on the floor because it's sticking to your feet. So traction's way different.
Well, that's something that we should talk about. I mean, I don't know how many of the local club guys or how many new guys that are on road watching this stream right now, but one thing I did notice at our club race was the lack of knowledge around gluing tires. And unfortunately, it is kind of a necessary evil. Yes. Yeah. It's kind of a necessary evil on the black carpet, no matter really the grip level. I mean, I can get away with running new tires without glue. You just work to set up a little bit around it. But as soon as you want to get into any kind of corner speed, any kind of steering, you need to build mechanically into the car and then glue the sidewall of the tire up. So when the tire rolls over really far on the side, instead of it continuing to grip, it hits the glue and slides a little bit.
So I know we're not talking the X4, but do you think that applies to every class right across the board?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Foam tire, 12 scale, Euro truck, scale spec, mini, all of them. You pretty much always have to glue the front tire to some extent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
It's important to be precise when you glue too. You see a lot of guys just kind of smush the glue on and kind of hope for the best. And you look at it later and it's all wavy. Well, if you think about that, if you're in the middle of the sweeper and the glue's wavy, it's eventually going to grab something that's going to hit and you're going to flip anyway. Right. So, take the time. It's not that really big of a deal to take the time and get it right. The other thing I want to mention is don't use fast drying CA glue, because it usually dries harder and will crack and eventually start to wear off. So I find the best glue is the Proline glue. And if you don't spray it with accelerant, it'll take 20 or 30 minutes to set up and cure.
Right.
But then you're done gluing, for a long time. The set of tires I was running on Saturday and Sunday morning, I think was from a Wix race like 2 years ago. And that's when I glued it, and
it took that long to dry. No.
pretty
so
much.
Yeah, I mean, and then also I guess it's really handy to get yourself a super, super fancy little tire gluing jig like you've got, because I'm super jealous about that thing.
If you're doing it a lot, it's nice to have one of those.
Right.
Yeah. But
I guess the other thing I noticed, when you do have a longer setup on a glue, even if you are a little bit sloppy and you get a little more on this side than this side, it's going to flow out after a little bit.
Or you just wipe it.
Yeah.
Once in a while you get a little bit that'll run down or something, you can just wipe it off with a blue towel and start again.
So Darren's asking how the availability for replacement parts on the new model. When I go on to XRAY's site, Most of the stuff that I've been looking for is showing in stock. I mean, it's a new model. They cranked out a bunch of parts. I think you're probably right now going to find more issues with people still running T4s, and I think that's still right now. I think that's still the parts availability issue you're going to have, because I don't think there's a lot of people not running an X4 yet because they want to see how it works.
Yeah, I think
right.
I would be very shocked if X-Ray didn't continue to support the T4 platform for a number of years. Like it's still a absolutely phenomenal car, and it can be a winning car at any race without a doubt, right? So they'll produce parts for that car for a long time, and the parts for the X4, yeah, you're right. They did hammer out a lot of spares right off the bat, and RC America has been ordering in what they can, so it's not going to be an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question for you, Luke, is what is your favorite? You pick one thing on that chassis. What's your favorite thing with that chassis?
In terms of what?
I mean, anything. Just your favorite overall. You look at the chassis. It's like, this is the one thing that I love the best about it.
Well, I think probably the motor mount. Honestly, like the design and the functionality in the motor mount is just so well thought out and thought through. Compared to previous models, there's no more. Yeah, there's no more coming up with your own battery backstops, or one backstop is in the servo mount and the other's off the chassis in the back. There's none of that. It's everything you need is now right there in the car. The belt tensioners, the backstops, easy to change gear. It's solid one piece. That to me was kind of like, okay, they finally absolutely nailed and perfected the motor mount, which is great.
Nice. So the belt tensioners are on the motor mount.
Mm-hmm.
Are the front diffs, are they still got the cam bearing on it where it cams out?
Yeah, you can still adjust whether you want to be a low or a high diff, and that's all the same. The diff and the spool are slightly different from the T4 though. The casings are redesigned so the belt position is narrower on the chassis, which is nice. So everything's a little bit more down the center line.
Just trying to see if there's a good picture of the motor mount in here somewhere.
Oh, there is in there somewhere. I remember. I have seen it.
Yeah.
There's a picture of the spur. I guess this kind of helps tell you with the belt tensioner.
Yeah, that shows you the belt tensioners and the battery backstop, how it's built into the motor mount.
Right.
That's the other cool thing about it. They made it so the servo mount is reversible now, so you don't have to have a separate piece to put the servo mount in the forward position, which moves the flex forward on the car. So you get all of that included now, which is great. And the aluminum steering arms. They've really gone over and above to kind of get you to the point where you don't need any hop-ups or any option parts. You can buy this and you pretty much have everything that the team guys are running.
Oh, that's nice. So I know that
what do you foresee being the first thing to break?
Sorry, what was that?
What do you foresee being the first thing you're going to break?
Ooh, I don't know. I honestly, I can't look at it and find a weak point. I know there is a weak point because there has to be, but I couldn't find it while I was building it. If I would say that if there's one thing I'm worried about, it's the carbon fiber not getting weak and splitting, but I guess guys call it delaminating from the plastic, but it's not laminated, so that's not really the right term. But the inlaid carbon fiber in the arms, I believe, can possibly become soft over time, or could come out, I guess, in a big enough crash. Although, the cool thing is like I follow the thread online and on RC Tech and talk to the team, and so far there hasn't been like one major issue point. Like there's not this one thing that everybody keeps having to fix. So, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, when I look at it, the first thing I think of is usually hubs. Seems to be where people break things all the time anyways, right? And they're still the same old plastic, nothing carbon fiber inlaid.
I actually don't know the grade of plastic that they've made these hubs out of, but I can tell you they're not the same as the old ones. It is definitely a more robust material. I don't know what it is, but it feels stronger, and the design of it is, in my opinion, more robust as well now.
So X-Ray with the T4 platform, you used to be able to get your regular and then your hard and your different grades of plastic. Is that in the future for the X4 platform, or do they not see a need this time?
Yeah, I think the options right now are either the plastic ones or aluminum hubs. I don't know if they have intention of making soft ones. I don't think they would make any difference on this car, honestly. But you can get different, I guess, strengths of arms. So the carbon fiber kit comes with softer arms, or I guess medium arms, and the aluminum kit comes with hard ones. Hey, Dave. What's up, Dave? I love Dave.
So Chris has a question for you. Why are there two different alloy chassis?
I believe there's three.
Three, yeah.
Yeah, so there's the solid, the flex,
the aluminum, the AluFlex edition, and then we have the AluFlex edition, aluminum solid edition, and graphite edition. Yeah, so
is there an UltraFlex yet? Anyway, it's a good question. The more the car will flex, generally the more grip it will generate. So on asphalt, guys are, you want to run carbon fiber. On low grip carpet, like in Europe, where they're still on what would be considered comparable to our old gray carpet, or even lower grip, they're running a flex aluminum chassis. And then with our super high grip here in North America on the black carpet, that's when we basically want to eliminate as much flex from the car as possible.
I guess when you're talking high grip in North America and Europe and stuff, you had a chance to go across overseas and run anything yet?
No, not yet, man. But
is there a track that you want to go to?
I want to go see the Hoodie Arena.
The Hoodie Arena?
Oh yeah, I mean that whole facility is phenomenal. But there's tracks in Japan. There's everywhere. There's so many beautiful tracks out there. Some of those ribbon style asphalt tracks in Europe are gorgeous too. There's lots. The girlfriend and I have been talking about doing a trip to Europe and fitting in a couple of races. So see if that happens next year.
Where you just stand there at the side and drool over the track and just
pretty much. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can sweet talk the X-Ray guys into setting up an arrive and drive for me. So I just show up with my radio and a receiver and use a car. I think that's a stretch, but I'm going to try.
Well, you never know, right?
No.
Never hurts to ask. So solid edition, I guess, is going to be...
Yeah, that's what everybody's buying in North America. There's a few guys around here who bought the Flex one, which I actually think is easier to drive because it generates a little bit more grip, and it kind of is softer feeling. So it can be easier to drive, whereas the solid chassis is very responsive initially, obviously, because it's not you turn and the chassis doesn't flex, right? So you immediately get steering. So I think the Flex chassis are probably easier to drive and might be a better choice for the majority of club racers or new drivers. But if you want to, really compete at some of the bigger races, you probably need to show up on the solid chassis.
So something else I noticed on here, compared, like 2021, they had the battery hold downs in here still, but most people still keep running just tape. Are you running?
As you discovered, tape is a terrible, terrible idea.
Yeah, well, I got a car that doesn't have the hold downs, so
well, you just got to make sure you put the tape on lighter. Yeah, that's something I surprisingly ran into a couple of times at both of our club races this year. Is guys with their batteries taped into the car so hard that it's causing the chassis to bow, almost like a freaking canoe or something. And you put it on your pit board and try to set it up and try to work on it, and the thing's rocking around, and you take the battery tape off and boom, it flattens out, tweak's gone, drives better on the track. So when you guys are mounting your battery in the car, leave lots of play and lots of room.
You know who this guy's talking about or what?
You don't need a wrench on it like it's electrical tape going on there.
Yeah, I don't know if this is you're gonna be able to see, but you can't really tell.
He's got some movement. Oh yeah,
there's a little bit of movement there. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, it needs to be able to float, and that letting the battery float is going to let the chassis and the car breathe and not be restricted like your tape. So,
Okay, note to self: get rid of tape. Okay.
And don't tighten down the battery so tight.
no, it needs to it should float like 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters in every direction.
Or I could, if I actually had battery hold downs, I might not have lost my battery in the last race.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, time to get
hitting the wall had nothing to do with it.
And breaking the arm.
And breaking the arm had nothing to do with it.
Steering link, no.
That's just lack of focus, man. That's all that is.
So, Luke.
Yeah.
Out of everybody that goes racing, you got the guy that wrenches on his car probably the most. So, what are you doing between each round? Like, what are the things that you do change in your setup from round one to the main?
Well, if the car is already working and handling the way I like it, generally you would just do a few small things. Like you might reduce camber gain in the front. So the camber gain is basically controlled by the angle of the front arms. The more angled the arms are, so lower on the inside and higher on the outside, the more camber is going to be added to the tire under compression. So you can reduce that by leveling that arm out more, whether that's lowering the outside of the link or raising the inside of the link. And you don't do that much, like maybe a 0.5 mil throughout a whole race day. You might make that adjustment. Reducing rear toe. By default, the T4 has 3 degrees of toe in on the rear. The X4 I have set up at 2 degrees rear toe in. But as the grip comes up, you start to feel the rear end of the car become what we describe as tight or locked in. And it creates the car, makes it a little bit pushy. So by removing that little bit of rear toe, it helps free it up a little bit. The X4 has ARS built into it, so you can easily change the toe just by the link, but you can also change the shims, the bump steer shims in the rear to either add or remove toe on compression as well. So that's something that I'm going to be playing a lot with. I've kept it all as per the manual so far, but in super high grip, you can actually have the car remove toe under compression, or add toe if you set it up that way. Like on asphalt, sometimes for corner exit speed, you want it to add toe as soon as you get on power. On carpet, in mid corner, you want it to reduce toe. So those are kind of the things you do throughout the day as grip progresses. But more importantly than that, the one thing I do between every round and every time I put the car on the carpet is just run through the steering geometry, check the endpoints, check your tweak, check your droop, kind of just go through the car front to back and make sure that when you put it on the track, you know exactly what it's going to do. The worst thing, in my opinion, that guys do to themselves is they don't look at their car. They throw it on the track. They do 2 or 3 laps. They realize it's pulling slightly to the left. So they're trying to trim it out going down the straightaway and warm up, or they're just, they're kind of struggling to get a handle on the car because they didn't do any maintenance or looking at it between rounds. And then they've wasted their warm up and pretty much, in my opinion, wasted that entire run because you're mentally having to recalibrate driving around a car that is not, perfect or close to perfect. So when you put the car on the track, you should know that it goes straight. It turns left and right equally. It's not tweaked, and the ride height is correct, and the droop is correct. Like all that stuff should be checked and confirmed every time the car goes on the track. Once you get into a rhythm, it only takes 5 minutes. It's easy to do all of that, but something that a lot of guys don't do.
And a clean bench and a setup too.
Yeah. Very clean, shop towels, a little brush, tiny vacuum. We should actually do a session one night where we go through my between round routine. It's pretty much the same every time. It only takes 10-15 minutes, but we should do that one night, do a tech session and go over that, because it's super, super important. And instead of spending those first 30 seconds or minute on the track trying to, reprogram your brain to drive around a car that you neglected, you can instead test the limit of the car, see if you're going to traction well, and figure out where your issues might be. But it's, it's a positive thing instead of just
Right.
fighting the car.
We were talking about what the weak parts are. I'm going to make a prediction here, and I might be totally wrong, but I think that the first part that people are going to find breaking all the time on this sucker is right here.
I don't agree. I actually think they got that really well. When you build it, you will say the same thing. That ball stud goes into a lot of really good material, and it goes in much deeper than on the T4. And yeah, I don't think that's going to be a weak spot. I think, I hate to say it, but I think the aluminum steering arm is going to be a weak spot before that.
This part in here.
No, on the outside, connected to the bottom of the hub.
Yeah. This part here.
Yeah, I suspect if there is a weak spot, that's it.
Yeah, because it's not like it goes over top of some plastic in there.
Yeah, it does. The bottom of the hub has a notch, and then the aluminum arm slides around that notch. But the area on the aluminum arm is relatively thin. The outer area of it, I would say it's 2 or 3 millimeters. And so I could see that breaking, and I can see the arm potentially bending in a hard enough crash.
Right.
But again, that's going to depend on how you have your servo saver set up. If you're running a servo saver and it absorbs the impact, that's going to save that arm. But if you're running an aluminum arm on your servo and it doesn't budge, then
The servo.
The servo might not budge, and then that could be the weak spot.
Is this running the standard XRAY servo saver that they normally run?
Yeah, that hasn't changed in 100 years, and I don't think it'll ever change. It's the best servo saver on the market. Yeah.
I know who this is. Tim says he can test the strength in a crash. I'm pretty sure that's Tim.
There's a lot of guys around here who can do that.
Yeah. Hey, I proved last week, not this weekend when you brought your new car out, but I proved the week before that torque is how far you move the wall. So I completely removed part of the track. And we ran for what? Another 10, 15 laps with that piece totally gone. So
I did hit my car pretty good once. I think it was on Saturday night or one of the practice sessions during Sunday. That center section coming down toward the bottom left of the track, I nailed it off a wall, flipped it over, and no issues.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good crash.
So I'm just looking here, see if there's anything else. Aaron, what else are you thinking?
One other thing I noticed, just going back quite a few years. So T4 came out. They had the servo mount off center for a couple of seasons. Then they moved to right down the center, right, for the flexing and whatnot. And I noticed on this one here, because the belt goes down the center, they actually have the servo mount off center again.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I find it interesting. That note, that comment. So what Aaron's talking about here is these screw holes here are for servo, but the center line of the chassis is here. So this is off center just a hair toward the side of the chassis. And it's funny. I noticed that, and I noticed that the top deck is no longer symmetrical. And I actually mentioned this. Symmetrical meaning it doesn't match on both sides here. So it's just connected right here. And I mentioned this to Martin Hoodie and Alex Egbert that I was surprised to see it when I built it, because they were so adamant on symmetry and the flex of the car staying the same on both sides. And they just said, we tested every possible combination. We tested every position of the servo, every position of the top deck, both symmetrical and non-symmetrical. And we chose the one that had the best performance. And it turned out that the symmetry wasn't as important as they nearly thought or initially thought. So, I was surprised to see it, but
Yeah, you can actually see it pretty good here in this image here. You got your top bar or your top support goes over the side, and then on the old 2021, it went on both sides of the spur.
Yeah, they kept it symmetrical, trying to keep the flex the same both directions. But what they basically said was, on one side of the chassis, you have a battery that's floating free, and on the other side, you have a bunch of stuff taped down to the chassis, a motor hanging off the center line, and then of course that servo hanging off the center line. So the flex of the chassis wasn't going to be the same and symmetrical anyway. So you may as well just build whatever's going to be fastest.
Right.
Makes sense. I was kind of surprised when I saw it too, because I was like, that was like their upgrade was from going from here to the center line in that one year, and it was like, okay, that's the upgrade, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna buy a chassis now that's got the servo down the center, and I'm up with it. I'm good.
Yeah, but the one thing they did add, which I love, is they made the outer mount for the servo on the outside. It's adjustable and it slides a little bit to fit slightly different widths of servos.
I don't know if we can see that in any of these images.
It always bugs me because the servo I ran was just a little bit too short for the position they had in the mount, and so the little bar that supports it right here, this bar here, previously for me would lean in to get both the screws in place, but now you can kind of see there's a little gap here on the other side of that screw. There's a slot where this bar can now slide. I'm doing a freaking terrible job of showing this.
So it kind of floats basically instead of being perfectly round hole, it's oval. Somewhat.
Yeah, exactly. It's elongated, so you can slide this mount to properly secure your servo. Not that it wasn't before, but it's a little bit better now.
Right.
It's such a good looking car.
It's because it's shiny and new.
Well, they should always be shiny.
Yeah, but they're not always new.
So you have too many RCs. You just gotta get it back down to like 2 or 3 at the most, and they're all gonna be shiny and clean all the time.
I'm working on it.
Yeah,
OCD on it, and then you're good to go, right?
That's a lie. I'm not working on it at all.
So
every time I sit down, I'm like, I should start another one. Yeah.
The one question that I was expecting you guys to ask, which you haven't, which I'm going to answer anyway. Should guys upgrade to this car? Oh, Frankie B, what's up, man? Hopefully see you next weekend. Should guys upgrade to the car? Well, the sponsored driver in me says yes, absolutely. Buy the car, buy all the parts, spend all your money, support the local hobby shop, and get the new car. But realistically, do I think this is going to be a faster platform for the average driver? I have my doubts about that. I don't think that a guy who's just getting into the hobby is going to go quicker with this than he would a 1-year-old T4. The car, okay, it's an X-Ray, so we expect it to be relatively expensive anyway, and it is. There's no doubt about that. And as much as it's fun to build, and it's a beautiful car, and if you can afford it, if you have the budget, I definitely recommend upgrading to it. But I think there's probably better things the average club racer can spend their money on in the hobby before upgrading from like a 19 or a 20 or a 21 T4 to this. If you have older than that, then I would say instead of upgrading to a T421 or a T420, instead of buying a used one, save up a little bit of extra money and bump up to this. But if you're already sitting on a 1920 or 21, I'd say you're probably pretty good with that for a while. And I wouldn't be rushing out to spend the money right now.
I would say for the most part, for most people around here, it's a big jump to go and buy a race platform. This isn't going out and buying a Traxxas Slash and it's all plastic and you can do all these upgrades and all this stuff. I mean, the price point on a Traxxas Slash, you have maybe paid for the electronics on this.
Maybe. Yeah,
right. I mean, the platform alone on this is more expensive than some of the 1/8 scale RTRs that you find out there for buggies and cars, right? It's a big jump. And I, being a shop owner, would absolutely love everybody to be coming in and buying them. But I also don't want to see people coming in, dumping thousands of dollars into it. Take your money and put it into tools and setup station and,
Radio.
something where you can take an old platform and still go fast or be competitive with it and have fun. If you're not having fun because you pissed away all your money on the newest and shiniest thing out there,
Yeah,
you're just killing yourself, and it kills the hobby.
yeah. I think the order of things that you should spend money on in the hobby. If I were to redo my quote career again, I would buy the best, the highest end radio right off the bat.
Yeah, I agree with you right there.
I would just jump straight to the Sanwa M17 and I'd buy that and not look back.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Traxxas.
The difference between the feel that you get on the track between the various levels of radio is just a massive difference. And so, if you got $2,000 to spend to get into the hobby, spend $700 of that and buy yourself a used car, used speed controller, used motor, used everything else, and scrape by for a year or two.
Yeah. I mean, most of the guys, and with our track, we don't have a huge turnout of people locally. We're trying to build this back up and get it going. And I think all three of us involved here would love to see a turnout of 50 people at a race weekend. That would be phenomenal. Is that ever going to happen in the Okanagan? I doubt that. There's so many other
there last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the Okanagan that draws people away from one hobby to the other.
Yeah.
So that's kind of Scott says he'd rather crash his T3 than crash as an X4.
Yeah, that's fair.
Being that, I think that if the guys go in a little cheaper on the chassis, maybe find something used, get yourself experienced, get in some time on the track running, get smooth. Then when you start getting competitive and you're up there, racing against Luke and racing against Mike and the other fast guys at the track and Aaron and all that, then start looking at upgrading your chassis, because now you need those little tweaks. You need those little improvements, because that's what separates the really, really fast guys from the fast guys.
Yeah, to a certain extent, I agree. I still feel that I could grab a T4 19 or 20 or even 18 and be relatively competitive at any race in BC.
Right. But would you take your T4 down to a big race in the States right now?
Yeah, I would.
When half the other field is running the new X4?
Man, but there's a handful of us that had that T4 running damn good.
Right.
Don't forget that the T4 is a multi-time national champion. It's still a phenomenal car. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, if we just keep the guys coming out, and also, I mean, the guys who are upgrading to the new chassis, to the X4, they probably have a T4 that they don't want to have sitting on a shelf.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
right.
Lots of guys selling stuff. Yeah,
and
that's definitely the best place to buy it. Like, look for the guys who are upgrading and snatch their stuff. Some people before others, perhaps.
So Kelly's up in Whitecourt. So the old carpet from Kelowna is in.
Right on.
Okay, and this is he's running the club up there that we started, and 12 racers now, 5 of them are X-rays. We started out running Traxxas Vortex and Vitera V100s, and basically RTR platforms that you could buy and just put something on the track and go to get the ball rolling. And then the guys started getting faster and started buying used stuff from Edmonton and Grand Prairie, where the other local close tracks were. And so they've been building up pretty good. I mean, 12 nights, 12 racers.
That's great. Yeah.
They're getting a pretty good showing.
Right on.
What's mine? Mine's a 19. I got 2.
A T419 is a great car. I wouldn't say I still run a T419. I would proudly say I run a T419.
I mean, yeah, honestly, there's guys out there running old platforms that are still faster. Like you said, smooth. It's your driving. It's your trigger time that you've had, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, trigger time's number one for sure.
I wish we had a facility that was open 7 days a week, that you could go in there on a practice night and a practice evening and just bang out laps and burn through battery packs. And I wish that you had to go through a set of tires every 2 weeks. You put new ones on because you wore the other ones out. But we don't have that yet.
That would be nice. That's definitely the point where I started to become relatively quick, is when I moved down to Victoria and basically lived at Blake's track for 6 months. Literally, like, I worked from the track. I'd bring my laptop. I'd be charging a pack and sauce and tires while it was all, while that's going on, I'm working. And then I'd go run a pack for 5 minutes, come back, work for 45, and go back out again. I must have done, I don't know, at least 5,000 to 10,000 laps a month for those 6 months,
Terrible way to spend a coffee break.
No kidding, right? It's pretty nice. Yeah.
5 sets of tires every 2 weeks. Yeah. Well, hey.
You don't have to worry about that. Those sweep QTS 32s that we're using, like I said, the ones that I had on my car up until Saturday and the morning of Sunday, I've been using literally for 2 years. Like, I must have 100 plus runs, 200 probably runs on those tires.
Right.
So no, you don't have to do that.
You're jumping around from track to track, and I guess Kelly and these guys would probably be interested to know. They're running the old gray style carpet that we used to have in Kelowna here at the Kelowna Club. When you go from one location to another and you're running different styles, have you noticed a big difference in tire wear on different tracks, different types of carpet at all?
Well, with rubber tire on touring cars, you don't really have much for tire wear. But the different spec tires that you use will have different fall off curves, right? Unfortunately, there's a lot of tires out there that, the first 3 runs or 2 runs are 2 or 3 tenths quicker than runs 3 through 10. And then after that, they become so slow. Foam tire, yeah, obviously every track's going to wear differently and everything. Again, that's another reason I love the sweep tires, is there's no fall off. They're the same, most part they're the same from when you take them out of the package to 30, 40 runs in.
So do you think that XRAY is going to do anything amazing with the X1 chassis now?
Oh, I have no idea. I haven't followed it at all. The last year's car, I saw, it looked like there were some pretty significant and awesome updates on that. But I really haven't been following that. I mean, I have an F1 and I've raced it twice, 3 times, maybe 4 times. Right. So not really very serious about F1.
I have a little bit of a soft spot just because I think they look so badass when they're on the track. They just look awesome.
Yeah, I like how they look too. Yeah, I'd like to race it more, but it's not really my focus.
No.
Yeah. Although I am going to try it in Cleveland. I did race it at Snowbirds 2 years ago when I went down, and qualified second, actually. I was on a TQ run at one point too. So like to think I can drive it okay.
What I guess on your schedule, kind of play it by ear depending on COVID restrictions and all this other travel stuff. What are your plans this year for racing? What big races are you planning on hitting up?
Well, the only one that I have scheduled at the moment is Cleveland Champs, which is the end of this month. After that, I'm just going to see how this one goes, because if traveling's a pain in the ass, or I'm not allowed to come back to Canada, I have to move to Uruguay or something, then things are going to change. So we're just gonna have to play it by ear. I'd like to do Snowbirds again. the flip side of all this is I also have that monster truck. So a lot of my time is going to be taken driving that around. I want to go down to California and go down to King of Hammers and do that. And
yeah, when you say monster truck, we're talking rock bouncer.
Like legit rock crawler monster truck on 58.
Yeah, legit. Let's see if I can even. I might even be able to find it here.
It's my
How'd you come across? How'd you get that? How'd you win that?
The header of my profile, like on my Facebook profile, has the best picture of it.
Yeah, so I was going to look at it here.
So there's a Facebook page called Axle Busters Off-Road and Racing Parts, and I don't know how I initially got invited to look at that. Obviously via the off-road community, but yeah, they do like these internet waffles where they do a sticker giveaway contest thing, and yeah, there she is. That's roadkill right there. Yeah, and so I bought a few $100 worth of tickets on this particular giveaway, and sure enough, I won the fucking thing. A web designer who has zero mechanical ability,
and not even a garage to fit it in, right?
Yeah, no garage, no truck to tow it with, no trailer to tow it on, no tools to work on it, no knowledge to work on it. But been learning. Now, I joke about it. I spent $500 in tickets, won the thing, and now I've spent about $150,000 because I had to work on it, and then I had to buy a truck to tow it. So I bought a big Duramax and then a trailer. Yeah, it's been quite the project.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's fun.
So yeah, it'd be pretty badass to take that thing down to Moab and actually do some serious off-roading with it and see how she sticks to the slick rock. And
yeah, totally. That's what I'll be doing that in January, the end of January and beginning of February. I'm going to drive down and go do King of Hammers and hang out and go do some of those trails and things down there.
Cool.
Yeah, but
cool.
the funnest thing is snow wheeling in it. Like going.
Well, I know some guys who want a snow wheel. I know a bunch of guys that want a snow wheel. So,
well,
let me know.
I can take them.
No, like the guys that have Jeeps that set them up for snow wheeling that want to.
Yeah. So there's a big group of us here. I mean, all these guys in this photo. This photo was a month or two ago up in Valemont, and yeah. So all this group of guys here will be going. So
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. Unless we got any more questions. Anybody got questions in the comments here for Luke? If you do, ask him now before we stop talking about the X4 and talk about some other things.
Yeah, you can. You obviously you're welcome to send me a private message too, or post on my wall, or ask questions, or find me at a track, whatever you guys want. I'm happy to help anytime. And if there's enough interest, talk to these guys and let them know if there's enough interest. We'll do a kind of maybe some kind of tech session, maybe not on this night because you guys have your bench talk thing, but maybe we'll do a separate night where it's just like an hour or 2 hours and we'll just do like a Q&A and I'll go through all my setup routine and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do it. And we can do it through this setup as well. We could do it as an online. We could still do it as a live so everybody can watch still.
Yeah.
But we just won't do it during the regular scheduled bench talk.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. So thanks for coming on, Luke. Everybody say hi. Oh, Showtime wants to know whether or not you miss him.
Oh, I miss Mark incredibly. I love Mark. Mark and I had the greatest race of all time. Like my highlight race of RC was with Mark Frechette at one of my first trips to the Canadian Nats 4 or 5 years ago now. Mark and I were in the B main and I qualified second in the B main. Mark was third. We don't even remember who won the race, but this was still when the race was in the middle of the mall. And I'll never forget this. There must have been 200, 300, maybe 400 people surrounding the track, all watching. And the tone went, and I held off Mark for the entire 5 minutes with him right on my bumper. And the battle was so great and so fun and so awesome that we finished the race. The crowd was cheering, and nobody knew who won the race. It was so hilarious.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of racing I would love to see going on here. I think anywhere, just local, somewhere within a 4-hour drive would be nice.
Yeah.
you get the fans where it's actually fun for them to watch, not oh, he crashed again. Oh, he crashed again. Actual good racing.
Yeah, it was pretty special when they had that race in the middle of the mall there. They're still in the mall. They're still in the mall, but they're in a Target building, an old Target building, I think. So it's a little bit outside of the path of the public. But when it was in the middle of the mall, it was pretty special. We got to try to do something like that in BC. Like there has to be a mall where we can set up our track and race. We got to figure that out.
Yeah. Well,
or a car show.
We've been looking. Car show worked good. Watkins Street Heat, that was awesome. We had a lot of publicity back from it. Next year will be bigger for sure. Because we're going to actually have more time to plan it and get it all set up. We've got a way better asphalt track set up now. We've got way better barriers going now. Get away from the 2x4s and all that stuff, right? So, because next year, Aaron and we plan on running Thursday night race series, basically. We're going to be setting up every Thursday. We're also going to be doing drag racing on Mondays?
Yeah, Mondays, probably. We'll see what.
So basically, it's a week solid of you're going to be racing RCs of some form.
Yeah.
So, and then once we have all that stuff all kind of buttoned up and figured out and lined up a little better, we'll have a hell of a really good event. We're also going to try and do some events at some other, not just Watkins Ford, but we're going to do maybe the Chevy dealership, stuff like that. Anywhere there's a nice big empty parking lot, we're going to hit them up.
Yeah, on the main drag. That's the key thing, is get out where the public is.
Right.
Where everybody sees it. That's going to be key. Like Travis has got the trailer for us to use, and we intend on using it. We can go anywhere in the Okanagan.
Yeah, it was amazing that weekend. Like so many people came up and they'd never heard of this before. They're like, "Where do you guys race it? Where is this from? Where are you guys?" We're like, "We're local. We're from here."
Yeah. Is this new?
Like,
no.
You live in under
that
a
was
rock?
like when we did that the Father's Day car show. Like that was phenomenal. We had hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 plus people walk by when we were doing that. So
that was
hopefully Boyd's is allowed to do that event again, and hopefully we can get in there and run again there.
Yeah, the same spot would work fine.
It would, but if we're doing it, we gotta do at least a full 2 day, even if there's no spectators on the Saturday. But if we want close racing, we got to get Blake Bell and John Sang and some of those Vancouver and Victoria guys down here. So a few of us can have a really strong high-end battle for people to really watch. So but they're not going to come down for a 1 day race. I don't blame them. So if we're doing that,
a little bit of track time to line up the cars and get them tuned in and dialed.
Well, not only that, but just there's no point in just coming down to have
1 day racing,
25 minutes of being on the track, right? They want to have 2 or 2.5 days of racing. So
for me, that whole weekend was a blur. So
yeah, me too.
I was basically chasing after 2-wheel drive slashes for.
That was so awesome. The lineup of kids waiting to drive that thing. That was so great. Yeah.
They all enjoyed it, and that's awesome. But I was like pulling my hair out, going, "Oh my God, why could you hit the wall again? What?
Are you aiming for that?"
Trigger? Yeah, it was pretty wild, and there were a couple of hurt ankles around there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, quite a few. All right, fellas, I'm going to leave you to your the rest of your evening. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on, and we will see you next race weekend.
Sounds good. See you guys.
See you, Luke.
Later. All right, so we're back to just me and Aaron.
I feel so lonely now.
It's so
Oh,
quiet.
God, Luke, why?
Oh, Gordon wants to know how the Luke's. Oh, he's been using the mugs, man.
Oh
He's
yeah, I
been
forgot
totally
what the
using the
Luke's drag race wins.
Yeah. I don't know, like
The guy in my car.
5 mugs after driving your car.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome. That's a lot of good information that we did not know. I did not know a lot of that stuff about that platform, so that helps me.
I still want one though.
Well, yeah, you always want one, right?
I want one.
So, Gord, you went up to Prince George, so you missed a lot of last week. But I've already got this all lined up, and I already know what it is. So. People that glue their electronics into their cars. Stop it.
Are you kidding
Stop
me?
it. They make double-sided tape. They make silicone tape, and almost every ESC or receiver that you buy has tape in the package with it. Stop gluing them with crazy glue into a plastic chassis or a carbon fiber chassis. You try to break the thing out, you end up with this big gob of glue or breaking things or whatever. Stop
My
it.
chassis.
Stop it. Just stop doing it. Stop using glue. There you go, Gord. There's your rant.
Is it my turn now too?
Your turn.
My turn.
Your turn.
That's what grinds my gears. You ever self nice little RC, it's all nice and shiny, and you're like, ooh, it's so nice, it's so nice. I'm gonna put it up over here and leave it there. You know about racing going on, but it still sits over there. We got the nice place to come race them. It's what they're designed for. And some people just still leave them back there. Take your car down, run it. That's what it's meant for. If you want a model car, go buy a model car, put that on the shelf, and race your toy car. That's meant to be run.
No shelf queens?
No shelf queens.
No shelf queens.
Run your RC cars.
All right.
Queens, no. Buy a model.
Right
Which travels
on,
also
right
gears
on.
that make my fun. And that's what grinds my gears.
That's what grinds your gears. There we go. Okay, well, so we're starting something a little new here. Trying to streamline the stream. You see what I did there? Streamline the stream, eh? Yeah, what grinds Scott's gears is having no gear. No gear oil. Yeah. So we're trying to streamline this stream here and get it kind of lined up so you guys can break it down, and then we can start taking pieces of this and reposting it so you don't have to fumble through 2 hours worth of footage to figure out what they were talking about or go back and look at something they were talking about before. So this week we are going to do the first and ever what is new in RC segment. And yeah, let me get things ready here. Make that one bigger. Rub it. Aaron's getting himself all lined up and ready because we got some cool new stuff to talk to you guys about. Clear my throat because I've been talking a lot more than normal. And let's add this to stream. Let's get this backed up here. All right, so here we go. This is what's new in RC. So first thing, Red Cat has come out with a new 1979 Chevy Monte Carlo lowrider. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk about it. It's just another body. No, it is not just another body. It is a totally new chassis. It is actually, this chassis will particularly fit all different types of bodies because this one is only 260 millimeter as opposed to the old 287, I believe it was. I've got a slide coming up here that'll show you guys. It is running the same radio that the 64 ran.
Because it has 20 toggles, right? You got toggle switch it everywhere.
Yeah, it's got all the fancy toggles and stuff so that you guys can actually, do the buttons and get the hops going and stuff. But the configuration of this chassis is completely different. This is now running 4 servos instead of just the 4. No, let me rephrase that. There's 5 servos on this one. 4 of them are connected to your suspension. One of them is being used for your steering. Let me make this play again here. We'll go through. I'll show you the next picture. So this is the new platform. As you can see, it's got a 25 kg servo, and they're all hex fly servos, by the way. 25 kg servo on all four corners. The motor's mounted up forward now. The battery is now mounted right in the middle of the chassis, whereas the old one, the old platform used to be set up where the battery was mounted at the back, and that's how they got the really big hop before. So here's your difference. You can see on this one here, the battery is mounted at the back, and that's giving you that balance so you can get that really good hop. Also, with the old platform, they were running a Reefs Altros servo, I think it was called Actros. I can never remember the name of it, but it was a 300. It was a fast acting, really quick actuating, and the two front shock towers were linked in with linkage that moved. So the shock towers actually went up and down. Well, now with the new radio or the new setup, those two front shock towers are set up on their own servos. So you can actually do side to side now with this. You can put it up on three wheels. You can do all these different things. You couldn't necessarily do all of that stuff with the old platform. It was a little harder to do. It was, groundbreaking, and they changed some stuff. As you can see, the motor on this one, on the new one, is mounted up quite far. It's just behind the front wheels. Where on the old one, it was actually set up on a bit of an angle going straight down into the rear axle, if you can see it there.
Yeah.
Still running knockoff wire rims. But like I said, the body style is going to be shorter. It is still a three-piece body. It does still have a detailed interior. Let me see what else I got here for.
So what's the width on that bad boy?
The width on it is, I believe, 200 still.
200. So you can still put a 200 mil chassis on there, or body on that chassis.
Yep.
260. So that's pretty much any.
That's pretty much the same as most of your on-road platforms, most of your
Just
racing cars and all that stuff, right? So the other thing I was going to tell you, it's got detailed interior, injection molded chrome plastic details, chrome decals, magnetic body mounts, and I believe it also comes with a set of normal body mounts so that you can start using other bodies on there as well if you do set it up that way.
Yeah, because so you can throw whatever car you want on there.
Yeah, so that's going to be a cool platform. Comes in at $459 US. Next thing we got that's a pretty new release here is the new Hyberia. This body is a front-wheel drive platform, 190 mil. Basically for the new front-wheel drive class, it seems to be running quite rampant everywhere else. But we don't really run them here. So, I mean, you could set it up as a rear-wheel drive, I suppose.
You could set up for scale spec as well.
Scale spec as well. I mean, it's still got the right dimensions. Next, we have T-Bone Racing. T-Bone Racing has come up with what they call the RC Wall. RC Wall is basically a big aluminum channel setup, rated to be able to haul 3 1/8 scale beaters. So it can handle a fair amount of weight hanging off there. Quite bulky, good size. Like the adjustable posts. I mean, there you got a Rift and a laser nut and a Kronos, and there you can see the mounts that they're using for holding them up. They're rubber coated. You can adjust them in and out, right? Aluminum channel. I think it's good to see somebody coming out with some more storage solutions. There's not a lot of them out there nowadays. No. T-Bone Racing has now released a front bumper for the laser nut. That is basically a bolt-on direct fit, not a problem. They also have released a wheelie bar for the laser nut. Just bolts onto the back, protects that rear tire a little bit. Should be good. And they've got an exterior roll cage. So this is going to be good for those guys that can't seem to keep it off its lid. You're going to save yourself from scratching the hell out of it and wrecking things.
That's kind of weird, but
Then Gen's Ace. Gen's
New
Ace
batteries.
has come up with some new batteries, a whole bunch of new batteries they released. This is a 3S battery. It is about the same dimensions as your Traxxas 3S batteries and about that configuration. The biggest one that I'm impressed with here is the fact that they have come out with some more 3S batteries and other stuff. And they are 2200, just smaller batteries. The biggest one is the one at the back here. This one. The lithium iron, not lithium ion, lithium iron. So these are the really good batteries that work really good in your transmitters. Gen's Ace has not made a lot of transmitter batteries.
No.
So this is one of they're kind of delving into it and getting in there. 6.6 volt, so we're good to go there.
So lithium iron, that's totally different than what?
LIFE.
Oh, LIFE, yeah.
LIFE. So lithium iron, right? So, yeah. And then we got some more small batteries for the SCX 24s, 450s, 800s, just little guys, right? With JSTNs on them. And then RC 4-wheel drive came out with the TEQ Ultimate Scale Cast Axle Set. Not sold as a set. They're sold individually. They are meant to fit and look more scale than the axles you get. RC 4-wheel drive really likes to throw around that ultimate tag all the time, I find. So, I mean, ultimate strength, I don't know. Ultimate, it does have some reinforcement there on the top of the housing, as you can see.
Yeah, I seen that was quite a bit different from the original ones.
Yeah.
The original ones were just the pumpkin, and that was it.
And these ones are actually designed to fit on a 4-link style suspension, if you notice the way the mounts are. These are not designed for a leaf spring setup right out of the box. So this would be more geared towards your Element Enduros, your SCX 10s, stuff like that, right? Also, they've released a couple new wheels, Heritage Edition stamped steel wheel. So this is basically a steel wheel that's got smaller holes punched into it, still stamped in black. Looks good.
Ultimate? Is that Ultimate too? Ultimate scale?
It doesn't say Ultimate. It just says Heritage.
So wait
Fuel
for the
off-road 155s in gunmetal. Now, in typical fashion, RC 4-wheel drive likes to release their really, really, really unique wheels in a 155 first because they want to, and then they come out in a 1.9 usually. It's weird. But it is an actually licensed fuel wheel beadlock. Just get a load and take a look at all of those wheel nuts you got to put together.
Scale accessories.
Oh, yeah. They do. To make them scale, they do have the centerpiece. So there's a center knockoff in there. Well, not a knockoff, but it's actually threads onto whatever left of your thread you have.
Nice.
So, or over top of the head. And there's a special wrench for putting them on. MST came out with the new CMX scale RTR. Now, I'm going to back this up a bit here for you guys to see this. This guy, whoa, so fast.
So fast.
This car is, look at the wheelbase.
Tiny.
242 millimeters. That is like mini size body. That's like M chassis style body.
Yeah.
In a crawler. With the motor mounted forward, they're rolling in at about $300 US for the RTR version. They're 195 millimeters wide. So what I'm getting at here is if you really don't care about how fast your mini car is when you're racing, you could take this body and put it out there. The only thing you need to complete it is a battery and a charger and batteries for your transmitter. Other than that, she all comes ready to run. Ready to go out of the box. So that'll be a fun little platform to see.
Fairly I think that's like more scale for 10 scale truck. Yeah, it's gonna be like scale for that type of vehicle.
Charisma has come out with the Range Rover 2.1. So this is basically built on the SCA AE A1E, which I believe is a shorter wheelbase because of that. I'm going to see if we can find it here. Oil-filled threaded body, aluminum shocks, anti-torque twist transmission in it. They're calling the tires a scale tire with a white compound. Not really sure what white is going to be compared to everybody else. Everybody's got their own coating. Lower gear ratio, 5.92 to 1. Chassis mounted servo mount for improved weight bias. There's an optional rear bumper with a tow hook on it. Winch ready front bumper, optional as well. LED ready light buckets included. And it's Oxford blue. It looks more like a black to me in these images, but they're calling it blue.
So what's that anti-torque twist transmission?
So generally, anti-torque twist transmissions means that it's coming out of the transmission. From one drive shaft spins clockwise, the back drive shaft will go counterclockwise, so that you're basically running opposite directions, so you don't get that whole chassis twist.
Okay,
right?
so I've seen a lot of the crawlers want to do that chassis twist. So by flipping which direction each one goes, it kind of nullifies the forces.
It does have front CVDs. It's not universals, and it's not dog bones, so that's a big bonus. 17-turn 5-pole crawler spec motor in there, and they're claiming it to be a high torque metal geared servo. Now, high torque means, as everybody should know in the rest of the world, sufficient.
First thing to upgrade.
First thing to upgrade, servo. Pretty much always, right? There's a couple of shots of it. Wheelbase on it, 285 millimeter between axles, 480 millimeters overall. What that works out to in inches, I'm not entirely sure. I never figured that out. You guys can probably do the math on your own. And 75 millimeters of clearance to the pumpkin, so 7.5 centimeters. And then everybody's jumping on the same bandwagon. With the rear cages.
Back to that again.
Yeah, we're back to that. Everybody's got to do their own version of rear cage. So this is the rear half bed cage set, made to fit on a 285 millimeter or 313 millimeter chassis. So still intended to fit on any of the 12.3 and shorter wheelbases. And then also Vanquish. Vanquish came out with a new VRD1. Vanquish's VRD1 is actually the same chassis set that's in the new Phoenix, but now it's just a separate piece you can buy.
Oh, you can buy it for everything you want.
Right. And Triel Hobby has come up with a bunch of aluminum upgrades. I'm impressed with Triel. They tend to be one of the first companies that comes out with upgrades for newer models. They seem to be pretty bang on getting their R&D done. So they got front shock towers, rear shock towers, rear front steering knuckles, I believe. Steering knuckles
6,
right?
For the big one.
And then, of course, I don't know if anybody's seen this, or if anybody's actually seen the SCX 6. I'm sure the first thing you thought was this thing needs more weight. Well, Triel thought that. So they decided, let's make some brass diff covers for it.
Excellent.
Because obviously a 30-pound truck needs more weight.
Naturally.
Right? I think so. I agree. Good call. I like that call. Let's do that again. They're also, they got little hints and sneaks that they are going to be releasing an aluminum axle coming soon. The Team Associated has re-released, well, not really re-released. It's called the Rival Mt8 Rtr. Now, Associated used to have a platform called the Rival. It was a brushless version, basically, of the old MGT. So they took the Nitro MGT chassis and they put another brushless combo in there. It was a kick-ass platform. It ran good, but in typical fashion, they discontinued, and it went away, and parts availability disappeared. And, now it's one of those, it is literally a shelf queen, or else you'll throw it in a dumpster.
I think you want to call this one the Revival.
The Revival. The
And the
MT8,
CPR music in the background playing in my head.
yeah, they did have they had a 1/10 scale version there, I think, of the Rival last year or year before. It's a blur, but that's what they've got. This is their new one, MT8 RTR, Team Associated. Should be hitting hobby shops soon. I already know they've already hit me up for whether or not we do some pre-orders or not. And that is pretty much our new product that has been released this week. So if you guys see anything else or you got any questions or anything you want to know about, over there in the comments. See, I always point the wrong way because on my screen, the comments are over here.
Well, you think it's going to be mirrored over, but it's not. It's like,
it's not. I'm crazy.
Now when I go to the mirror to brush my hair, it's all backwards.
Yeah, and Luke says he forgot to mention he's got a whole drag racing setup ready to go for sale. No, you don't. Anyways.
I think he just should have came out and ran it. Not if someone else comments first.
All right, so anything else new that anybody else wants to talk about? Anything new, shiny, cool? I am just going to look through here. I'll show you what we've been working on here. Maddox has been going nuts. He's been working on his little... He decided that he's gotten the racing bug. So we tore this chassis down, cleaned up a bunch of parts, tightened a bunch of things, put the spacer block in there, and he is in the process of making up a new body and painting it up and getting it ready. So next race weekend, there will be... Hopefully, we were having a problem with the steering links popping. We've changed these out to brass ones that are hopefully going to hold better. I'm not really sure why it kept popping every lap, but it did. He's hoping it doesn't pop every lap. He'll be very disappointed if it does. So he's been putting his work in. He's actually doing some wrenching. He's doing some maintenance to it. And yeah.
That's awesome.
We got more people to race.
More people to race. So do you think he's going to run in some novice action, or is he going to run in the full classes?
I don't know. When he starts running in my class that I am running in and beating me, he's not going to be showing up anymore because he won't have a ride. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go warm up the truck.
Gone. So if you guys have been watching, I hope you guys have been watching. We've been cranking out, me and Aaron have been cranking out videos with the Testy Twins. Go on YouTube, like the channel. Don't have to like the channel. Subscribe to the channel. That would be a big help. That'd be super awesome. But basically, we're testing differences between motors, differences between certain upgrades and mods, and putting it on video so you guys can watch it and see. If you guys have any comments or suggestions of things you'd like to see compared, please comment on the videos and let us know what you would like to see. I have a pile of ideas, but I would love to do the ones that you guys would like to see first. Basically, what we've started out doing here is I'm trying to do the videos that are most frequently asked common question kind of videos. So that's why I started off with motors, because a lot of people ask, what motor should I put in this? Well, here's some comparisons so you know. Why do you want a 3-slot? Why do you want a 5-slot? What's the big difference between a 550 can or a 540 can? We just shot that video today. That'll be up on tomorrow or later this weekend possibly. We'll see what happens with my life and how quickly I can get that video edited. We're going to do some comparisons, show you guys some stuff like basically what's the difference. Why would you run a 3S battery instead of a 2S? Is there actually an improvement? So yeah, anything you guys want to see, comment, add it into the video. Go to YouTube and subscribe so that we can see whether or not you guys like the content or not.
Yeah.
And what do we got going on for racing, Aaron?
Racing.
Yeah, racing.
We got racing again in a week and a half.
Okay.
I know some people didn't make it out last time. Scott. So come on out. I think Tim sent me a video of our novice class. So
Did he?
it's definitely. Oh, he sent it to Scott, anyways, from last week.
Okay.
I don't know if he sent it to you or not.
No, probably not, because I was there.
Yeah, because you were there. You're there. You're living it.
I was living the life of getting
Living
my
it.
butt spanked.
Happens. But we have a novice class. There's people out there. I think James will be there with his kids. We got another new person showing up with his kid. I told him to throw his kid in the fun class and
Yep.
the novice class, and yeah, he had a lot of fun. I think
So
they're gonna be back.
Which we haven't done in quite a time. We really have not had a dedicated novice class because we haven't had enough kids to really run it.
Yeah, we've had James to show up with one. Sometimes Travis showed up with one, and that was probably about it.
Yeah. So we're working on getting more kids out. They can run a class. Yeah, they're going to hit the wall a lot. Yeah, they're going to crash a lot. Yeah, they'll
But
flip a lot.
however,
But
even
they
new
are getting
racers,
better.
if you're new to it, come run some novice.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about smashing into people because everybody's smashing into people. It's a great way to get started and build up some confidence in your driving.
Yes, yes. So that also. So the next race is the schedule. I'm just going to see if I can
20th and the 21st is the
20th
next.
and 21st. That's right.
Yeah, and we're going to see if we can get the gym for the whole day
On the
as well
20th?
on Saturday, if it's available. We haven't heard back yet. I'm gonna probably give them a call tomorrow. They haven't got back to us.
So if I don't know if any of the guys from Vancouver or any of those guys, anybody from out of town might be looking, the 20th and 21st, if we can get the gym for the entire day on Saturday, then we could probably turn this into a bit of a 2-day event and make it worth your guys' while to travel up and show us how it's done.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's one thing that that we do have is that practice night even that a lot of other clubs don't have. Like a lot of them, they got set up that day, and that's it. You know, they set up that day, they tear down the same day. They don't get the practice night in.
Yeah.
So you're really getting a good value here, like coming to our races and whatnot, and learning, you know, how everything runs. Luke's got a couple comments there.
Yeah, Luke's saying here that he'll give anyone driving help to anyone who wants it, especially those in the novice class. So that's a big, big thing. You guys really, Luke is fast. I would show you guys a video of how fast he is, but it is not wanting to upload onto this. It's lurchy, so it doesn't look fast because it's lurchy,
fast,
right? Yeah, and car setup. I'll tell you right now, Luke set up my car. My scale spec car, I showed up there, it was driving like a piece of junk. I was ready to boot it across the floor. He took it, drove it around a little bit, put it on his bench, tweaked it around a little bit, discovered what was wrong, and told me, slapped me in the backside of the head and said, "You dummy, you've got this set up wrong." And tweaked it, made it perfect. Wow, as perfect as my car would ever get, because I have those walls keep moving around. Anyways, yeah, so now we got some driving in, and I got some more lap times in, and it's a faster car, way more fun to drive. So good setup. Luke will show you guys how to do some setup, and that's one of the things we want to try and do. We want to get a setup night, and that's what Luke had been referring to here on the previous video or the previous chat here about the X4. We'd like to do a dedicated stream on setting up a car and tweaking things and showing you what needs to be done with some setup stations. Aaron's got a setup station. I have a setup station. Luke has a setup station. So I'm sure between the three of us, and we can take each of us do a different car, and we can discuss what needs to be changed and just getting them lined up so they're going to go straight to start with. And then when you get
have
the
car
track,
built and have the controller tuned in for the car, your endpoint set.
Absolutely.
It's turning same left to right. Like that's just some things that people overlook,
Yeah, totally. Like can't tell you how many cars. Luke pointed it out and totally reminded me of it. How many guys go out onto the track, put the car down, and spend the first 3 straightaways going like this, tweaking the car to get it to go straight. And he's right. He's 100% right. It should be going straight when it left your table.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
Right?
if you hit a wall, the chassis has a little tweak in it. You should go back to your table, take the tweak out of your chassis. Like, that's an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I discovered during one race there, my car had started running like junk. It was just really hard to. It was really twitchy. It was all over the place. Discovered that one of the ball joints in the steering rack had basically worked itself loose by 2 threads. So that whole ball was wobbling. So I had one wheel doing this the entire time I was racing. And it's no wonder I can blame the car. It's not my driving. It was totally the car. Not my driving. It's the car. And my lack of maintenance.
That. Look over your car, double check stuff. Like even myself last weekend, because I don't really get a chance to really work on my cars. So I just don't try to work on my cars because just don't have the time.
I question every time I look at your bench, at your pit bench. I wonder how you can even work a car. There's no room on that bench. There's a laptop, there's computers, tools, there's this, there's that. There's loaner transponders, there's a printer, there's this. You're busy running the show and telling people to get out there racing and announcing and everything. And then at some point, you actually have to put a car on the track and race.
Yeah. I kind of I struggled with that last weekend. I missed a whole round because I didn't either charge a battery, sauce my tires. I missed something for a lot of that. So I just, I'll take a lunch break. I'll clean my tires. I'll charge my batteries. I'll take a look at my chassis. Maybe I'll take the tweak out. Right. And we'll try to get 2 more heats in there.
Right. So just for anybody, like running a race is not a just sit there and do it casually on the side kind of thing. It's if you're running races, setting up heats and setting up all of the different events and trying to line, like you got guys running 2 or 3 classes, then you try to spread them out so that they have time between their classes. They're not running back to back, and that's hard to do.
Yeah.
This guy right here is the one who's doing it at the races when we do our races. So
yeah. Thanks. So
everybody give him a round of applause.
What I found out, somehow the front of my car ended up riding a little bit lower. And the whole bottom of my chassis was just covered in like goop from the track. So I put the ride height gauge under it. And I'm like, oh, rookie. Riding a little bit low.
Yep. Simple things, right? That you don't even notice.
Just like 0.2 of a millimeter low. And that's all it takes.
My F1, my car was all over the place. I thought I was running pretty good during practice the night before. I don't know what happened between practice and the next day, but I lost a screw out of the bottom. And the whole shock tower was wobbling all over the place. Every time I hit a turn, the car would turn real sharp all of a sudden. It's like, what the?
Just flex over.
Now I know why.
Yeah, it's very important to go over your cars in between.
Yeah.
Like Luke said, just simple little things. Make sure all the screws are in there.
Yes.
Make sure, everything's tight.
I bought me a bunch of shims, a bunch of bags of shims, and more screws, and some servo screws. What else did I get myself here? Oh yeah, more shims, different sizes of shims. Of course, they got to be orange to go with the X-ray stuff, right? And black because they didn't have them in the other size. But shims, get them, bring them. The other thing I'm going to highly recommend to everybody. Oh, look what I found.
Chocolate? That's what you recommend. Chocolate.
Where did I get that? I don't know. Ryan, it's your fault. Another thing that I noticed that is a big thing. If you're going to come race at the track here, bring yourself a little LED pit light if you have one. A light for the table. Last year, they had a different set of lights in the gym, and it was brighter. This year, they've changed them up to a different light, and they've gone with half as many lights, obviously to save money. And it's darker, especially around the outside edges of the track. So I highly recommend bringing yourself a pit light if you need to.
Yeah, I'd say so. It seems brighter but darker.
It's
Like the light's
brighter on
more
the track.
white. The light's more white, but it's darker.
Yes, it's more concentrated. It is
Weird.
definitely exactly. It's more of a focused light. In the middle of the track where the cars are running, it's quite bright and they stand out really well. But on the edges of the entire gymnasium,
Not so
it
much.
has that darker because it just isn't, the light's just not spreading out as much.
It's weird.
Yeah, absolutely. What else we got? What was who won last week?
Who won which?
Who won TC?
Well, you know who won TC? That was definitely Luke.
Who's Luke?
Luke the fast man. I mean Pittman.
Oh, the fast man.
The fast man. And then who else was in there? There was Michael. I think he finished second. Gert was third. Then Jason Martin was in the mix there. Jason Martin from Kamloops. He came out, which was great to see him.
Yeah, I really
fast.
Do want to put that out there. I am very much appreciating seeing all the guys coming from Kamloops and other places and showing up here. It's just, it helps. It helps get the count up. It gets the competition up. It spreads things around. I got to eat some chocolate because it's sitting here.
Can't just leave it there in front of you.
I can't say no. Anyways, you know, it's a big thing. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Gord wants me to show you guys this picture, so here you go.
Okay, here we go.
Gord's got his plow truck ready for snow. All ready to go. So basically what he's saying is he wants it to snow.
Well, funny thing, Wayne was saying it's supposed to snow at 1 o'clock tonight. 1 a.m.
What?
Yeah, that's what Wayne said. Chicken Wayne said, or the driver formerly known as Chicken Wayne, says it's going to snow.
Chicken Wayne. Who is also racing, by the way.
Yeah. He's got himself a fleet of cars now, so he's good to race.
Oh, he's even got a video here. Let's see if I can get this to expand. So drive it up into the gardening bed. And I personally, if I was doing this, I would be using a bulldozer myself. That's just the way I would roll. I would get one of those RC bulldozers and do it. But hey, work with what you got, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yes, the guys were there for TC. Scale Spec, that was like an anybody win show. That was Gert, Ron, myself, and Aaron Matlow. We're all battling out for that top spot. Fortunately, I could get my stuff together to bring the battle all the way to the front. I was sitting in second for a bit, and I dropped to third. A few mistakes. And I was chasing down second, and then I put my car on the lid in the final, second to last corner.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped all the way back to fourth. Ridiculous. F1, I ended up besting Gert. He ended up qualifying like a lap up on me, but I came through in the main to pull out the win. The Formula One.
Yep.
And then you and Tim were battling out pretty good.
We've actually got some results up here. I'll show you guys here.
Yeah, I think you finished 3 seconds ahead of Tim.
Did I?
I think so.
I was doing quite good.
Yeah, I guess you would with all the screws, tightened down and nothing moving around like a shock.
Yeah, exactly right.
I
was doing okay, and then I hit the wall, and that ruined my day. Let's get rid of this for a second here. You posted up the finishes there. Did you post them on the group, or did you post them on the page?
On the page. I think the first one I posted is just the overall. Gives the overall winners. So that'll be the first one. with pitching
Okay,
track.
I'm going to start at the top.
Oh God.
Yeah, we'll start at the top, and you can explain these real quick.
Okay.
Bigger. All right, so I don't know if you guys can read this or not. Let's try and make it a little bigger.
There we go.
How's that?
That's all right. So, what we got here? If I go up just a little bit, you can see top drivers there. Oh, there we go.
So we got
All
Tim,
right.
Aaron Matlow. This would have been the. I got to make this one.
Round one.
Round one. There we go.
Round one. Tim's out there. He's driving pretty well. We had some young drivers in there too, which we later took out for the novice class. It was an oversight on my part. I realized that after we started round two, I was like, oh, yeah, we should do this, take these guys out. So, yeah, so we took the bottom two out for the next round. Tim ended up getting a pretty good fast time in there, 12.9. Aaron Matlow is a fast driver. He's one of the top drivers in the club, for sure.
Fun class. Always a fun class to watch.
Yeah, it's got to be the funnest one to watch because those trucks, like, they're the same. There's no tuning advantage. There's no motor advantage by different brands. It's awesome. It's just straight up. Here's your truck. Run it.
I love the fact that guys get up there. You pass in one corner, and the next turn, the guy's right back on you again. It's not that unless they're like driving crazy smooth compared to you. They're not. They're not just running and taking off and running away from you because they got so much more motor and so much more car than you already have. Literally, you're going to be the same speed on the backstretch usually.
Well, even the knowledge of tuning, you don't need that for this. Like Luke's talking about, he tunes this, tunes that between the rounds to, you got to tune your car every round and check things out. This thing here, you got to make sure your wheels are attached and nothing's hanging off, and then you go run it.
Yeah, the only things you can really adjust on these chassis are, I think there's two shock positions, more upright or leaned over a little bit more, and
your tire sauce.
The tire sauce. I guess the other thing you would be able to look at for it would be possibly how your body is mounted, whether or not it hops a lot. That's really one of the big things that changes it. There's not much else to do. Some guys add some grease on their shocks instead of running them dry. So
there's some grease that comes with the kit, then you're supposed to put it on there.
It's more like a lithium, though. It's more like that lubrication that you would find with assembly grease. That's more what it's like.
What it is. It's nothing tunable, really. Just throw it together, run it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So it's great. Class. Yeah, it's great fun. No tuning. Just make sure it's all together and run it.
Yeah.
It's great. Learn the race format.
Okay, let's look at the next one here.
Where's the arrow? All Euro truck.
Okay, next picture. Oh, I know why it's not doing it. This one would have been this is TC stock. So we had Michael Tomaz, Aaron, a.k.a. Trackside, this dude. Aaron Matlow, Aaron.
Tim and Travis. So this was the first round. This is before. What happens is we'll race or we'll qualify. First round's always mixed, and the top drivers go with the top drivers, and the bottom drivers go with the bottom drivers, kind of thing. So it sorts out after. So that's why you don't see Luke in here, or you don't see Jason Martin or Gert.
Any of the fast guys.
Yeah, fast guys. So you can look on the timesheet there. You got Michael up 9.3 for fast time.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at 10.1, which is ridiculously slow. I should be faster.
And of course, this is not the best lap you did over the weekend. This is just during this race.
During that heat. Yeah.
So 9.4 is fast.
Yeah.
So really, Michael would bump into the next category after these ones.
And he did so. Me, not so much.
So let's see. That's 1, 2. I'm just picking ones that I can see here now. F1. We didn't have that many guys that ran, so we had 3 guys that ran. It was a pretty fun race. Enjoyed it. Tim was having some mechanical issues with his car. Biggest reason why he's back that far. Lots of issues with the traction rolling and such. Gert, he's got his car dialed in pretty good right off the bat, and he's been running. And he's a smooth, fast driver. So
he's a good driver, you betcha.
Yeah.
I later jumped in for round 3 of qualifying and for the main.
Yeah, so I mean, Gert's fastest time there was 10.7, which is pretty respectable for a rear-wheel drive car.
The same one.
Oh, same one. Whoops. Duh. This was our track layout that we ran this weekend.
Something a little bit more simpler than the previous one.
Yeah, it had a nice flow to it. I liked it. This center part coming through here, come around the sweeper, and fast. Come in through here and then get another nice, almost a sweeper, like a little.
It's like inside straight almost.
It was nice. If you came out of here and went wide, you could kind of line up. It was almost a straight line into here until the next turn. So it turned it into two nice big sweepers, which is fun. It was fast. There was some good passing going on around those areas. In here and down on the other end, guys were getting passes in all the time. It was nice. I liked it. I said, do it again.
We just might.
Right? And then we got the mini class. How many guys did we have? We had 9 people.
We had 9 minis.
9 minis. That's a pretty damn good, impressive group of people. I'm happy to see that we're getting that kind of turnout for an entry-level class. Justin Miranda, that was the new fella from...
Oh, he's from Kelowna. I didn't realize that. I thought he moved away because he used to race back when I first started. I remember seeing him out racing and stuff, and then he's all of a sudden gone. Well, kids got in the way, and now his kid's growing up, and you can see his kids on driving the mini as well.
And then we got Aaron Lewis, John Lewis, father son, Kim Kay, Doug Promener, Channing, Grayson Sanders was the younger, Harden. Bro, that was.
I can't remember how to. It's a weird way of saying it. I can't remember what it is. Airtron,
man. You guys can slap me and correct me next time I'm at the track, okay? And then
it's going to take me about 5-6 times to get it right, so I apologize. I'm sorry.
And so Maddox, the reason this car is getting built and gone over and tweaked up is because Maddox doesn't like being last. So that was part of his first race back.
Another thing I want to point out here. The husband-wife battle. Kim out-qualified Channing.
We're just going to rub that in, aren't we?
By 4 laps.
We're going to rub that in repeatedly, just because we can. Because that's how we roll. Kelly's got a quick question. He wants to know what we're running for dimensions of the track, carpet, CRC borders. They're running CRC up in Whitecourt now.
Oh, nice.
Like the border stuff and on the old carpet. So
we are 80. I think we're 82 by 36.
Okay. Dimensions of the track and track width, lane width. We try to stick around 8 feet, don't we?
So we use a CRC board, and that's kind of our width. We go a little bit more in the sweeper, a little wider in the sweeper section. Just give you extra room to make the corner.
So here we go with the A main for the Euro truck. This was on Sunday, later on in the afternoon after everything had been going nuts. Aaron Matlow won. Drove crazy smooth, good race. Tim was doing really good in behind there. And he's very fast with the Euro truck. As you can see, race time. What did he get? He was 1 lap down, basically.
1 lap down.
Yeah.
Well, I think next time out, he's going to be the top driver because Aaron has retired from a Euro truck.
So then we got Aaron, we got Tim, we got Channing, Leaf, Kim, and Oliver. Oliver is how old do you think Oliver is?
I think he's 11.
11. So I mean, he did really good. He didn't crash into everything out there. He was doing decent. So I think it was an impressive turnout. In the next race, he'll probably do good. He was getting smoother all the way through every single race. He got better. So that's a good thing. Next race heat that we got to talk about is this guy, F1.
Round 3. It's round 3 qualifying.
Round 3 qualifying.
The last qualifier I got in the mix there.
Yep.
And I finished just, 3/10 behind Gert?
Yep.
So it's almost there, and 3/10, which is a blink of the eye.
Boom, boom, boom.
I was hoping I could upset him and get the TQ last go at it, but not so much.
26 laps, 24 laps, 22 laps. Once again, Tim was having some mechanical issues. That's the only reason he was back that far. And there was another angle of the track layout in our gymnasium with our plastic floor that sucks when your car goes off and it slides and keeps going. Boom.
We got here round 2 Euro Truck
qualifier. I'm just going to jump right straight over to. I'm going to try and find
the main action.
Yeah, let's just find the mains.
Let's find the mains. That's going to be the breakdown of all the races there.
There we go.
I think. Yeah.
Okay, so novice A main.
Oh, that's a good one to talk about right there. Grayson. He was not doing well all day, got in a little bit of trouble.
Crew chief took him back to the pit truck and said, "Hey, smarten up. You got to drive smoother and better." He came back out and he went, "Yep, okay." You didn't want to lose a ride, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to lose their sponsorship.
So he came back and he ran a good race. Got 18 laps in, which is phenomenal for a little mini. And I think he's only what is he? 8, I think 6 or 8, somewhere in that range. And yeah, man, he came off the stand. He was so happy. He came up to Marshall right in front of me, and he was just so alive and just so explosive, full of energy. And I gave him a good old fist bump, and he was like, "Oh, you see that? That was awesome!" Like, yeah, you did so well. So that was great to see.
Maddox came in second with a stolen truck, so he'd broken the mini. Well, the mini had let him down. Let's say that. He didn't even get a chance to really get any good laps in with it. So he borrowed Tim's Euro truck and ran and did decent. I was impressed.
Yeah.
And then we got the mini A main. So then we had basically after we pulled and shuffled around the novices, we had the mini class had a little bit more guys who were more competitive and less let's get time in. And so first place was A. Ron.
Not by much, 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
With, Justin right there around his tail. I'm pretty sure in that race that the lead changed a couple times.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Justin was out front. There was a couple good passes in there. It was awesome to watch. But yeah.
Then we had John, Channing, Doug, and Kim.
Yeah, what the big upset there was Channing beating out Kim there. I think he took her out. I'm gonna say he took her out, but not in a good way, not to dinner.
No, he probably had to take her out to dinner after.
Yeah, probably, yes, definitely.
I mean, I know that's how it works in my family. And then TC Stock B main. This is the class I run in because I'm not that good. And this weekend was the first weekend I ran TC stock. I'd only brought in scale spec before. Decided I'd set up a TC stock. Had some tuning and adjustments that needed to be done to it, tweak it up. So I wasn't that great. Justin did great. Mark did awesome. Aaron, you tell everybody where some of these guys are from, because I know we had people come down from Kamloops because they're not racing up there. And like I said, much appreciated and awesome that they showed.
Yeah, Mark, I always like Mark. Him and I always get along. He's from Kamloops.
Okay.
So he came up from Kamloops. We got John and Aaron. They came out from the Kootenays. So people say that, Kelowna's too far away. These guys hopped in the car and drove 5 hours.
Yeah, Trail BC.
Trail. So that's like 5 hours away.
Yep.
Like I'm all the way out here. They come racing every bloody time. They come out and they stay in Penticton, which isn't that far. Well, wasn't that close to the track anyways. So they come out, they do practice night, and then they go all the way back to Penticton and come out the next morning to come race with us.
Yep.
So that's just phenomenal. And like John said, he's like, I'm not even good at this, but I like doing it.
Yeah. And then I was in third. Tim came in fourth. And Aaron, you didn't
I was broken.
finish.
I didn't even start, I don't think.
No, I think you had that was one of those ones you had an issue. You didn't get your.
Yeah, I ended up breaking my outdrive on the front end, and
That's right.
I just said, you know what, that's fine. We'll try again. We'll try again tomorrow.
And then we got the TC stock guys. And if you take a look at these, the A main guys, look at the difference in times. Like we're talking fast lap of 9.1 seconds for Luke. And then Michael was the next one at 9.3, 9.4, 9.6, 9.7. So everybody in there in that A main group is under 10, which was impressive and fast. And there was some really good racing going on through there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
It
think
was fun to watch.
Luke, while doing some practice, he got down to 9.9007.
Right.
Or 9.008. So, yeah, that's phenomenal how fast that is there. Where's part 2 of that?
Here.
There it is.
This is it.
Yeah.
The Euro Truck A main, Aaron Matlow again, Tim, Channing, Leaf, Kim, Oliver. We've already pretty much talked about this race. F1 A main, Aaron comes out of nowhere, spanks us all. And Gert, who's smooth and consistent pretty much all the time. And me, who was just glad I made it around the track and didn't crash the car.
I just want to point one thing out about this main. The race director made an out there call saying that I took Gert out. I was nowhere near him, for the record. So I had to stop and wait for him. Get flip back over and
you guys might have met the race director earlier.
Because the race director was blind. He needed his glasses on. But it made for a great race for everybody to watch, because then we were battling out pretty good back and forth. And so that was good.
Yep. So then scale spec B, main. I crashed out near the end.
Yeah, you were doing pretty good.
I was doing really good at first, and then just boom, done.
I gotta say, Tim Moore actually got a heck of a lot better.
Yeah.
Like a mile by miles. Because his first couple laps, even last time he was out, he did not do so well. And then, he just got things going and got the rhythm down. And, he did very well. That's phenomenal for him.
Fastest lap was a 10.8. So, we're averaging around 11-second laps for this class and category. And that's the B main. So we had Tim, James, Doug, me.
Doug also making that
Carly.
comeback.
And Carly wasn't there. How come Carly's on there?
Because her car crapped out on her in the Q3. She broke something, and I can't remember what was wrong with it.
That's a bummer. So then we got A main. These are the faster guys. So we got Aaron, then Gert, then Aaron, then Aaron, then Justin and John. There's far too many Aarons in that class.
Yeah, that's why we changed Aaron Luce's name to Aaron to make it a little different.
Yeah.
So
the fastest lap there was a 9.7 with Gert. Was actually the fastest guy.
Fastest guy in second place. He actually qualified first. If you look at the car position on there, that's going to tell you where everybody started.
Yep.
Where they qualified. And then the position at the end is where they finished. So last race, it was me and Aaron battling out for that top spot, and we swapped spots. It was a great race to watch. And this time around, I made a couple mistakes. Got behind Gert. Like I said before, I was chasing down Gert, getting closer every lap. I could see him. Every lap was getting closer. And then I made a mistake.
And then you ran out of time.
Come back, closer. And in the second to last lap, I was catching up to Gert, and I put it on his lid, and that was it.
Nice.
Aaron Matlow squeaked in there, took the podium spot from me, and I went home crying.
And that was pretty much it for the race. That was the last race, was it not?
Yeah, that was the last one. And John and click back on that one. John and Justin were right close there too.
Oh yeah, they were.
Only 2 seconds there between them, battling for that last spot. Good driving from both those
Absolutely. And lap count wasn't that far off either. So
yeah,
we had 3 guys. I actually think that last lap was just 30 laps as opposed to 29. It was a quick. I think he just squeaked over the line, if I remember right. And
yeah,
got
he did.
one more lap than everybody else did. So that was like that top 4 guys. They were fast. They were hammering it out pretty decent. It was fun to watch. So.
I can't wait to do it again because that was so good. Having all 4 cars on the same lap. That's just
anybody
phenomenal.
watching. If you guys don't have a car and you can't race, that's fine. You can still come check it out. Occasionally, there may be 1 or 2 cars that somebody might want to let you run out there for practice and put in a couple laps and see if you even enjoy being out there at all. There's no pressure.
Yeah, we'll even throw you in the novice class if you want to come try it out. I mean, there's a couple guys that got Euro trucks. You can borrow their Euro truck and get charged back up before they're back on the track again.
I've got a chassis here. I'm just waiting for a drive shaft on it. When the drive shaft sews up, this chassis will be going back and it'll be set up as one of those ones we can lend to somebody to run in the Euro truck class as a novice or whatever.
Yeah.
Just try some laps and get them in. So, yeah. All right. So that is pretty much going to be it. We're got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Next week, we will have more stuff to talk about again. So enjoy yourselves your semi-longest weekend. I don't know how many people have to work tomorrow, but I have to go and drive up a mountainside for a little while, disappear from existence for 3-4 days, which is, enjoyable. I like that. And the following weekend after this. So most kids right now, we have Thursday off tomorrow because it's a Remembrance Day. Hockey, Remembrance Day. Then Friday, a lot of the kids had Pro D Day. I'm not sure if it's the same down in Kelowna and everywhere else, but I know up in Vernon our school district, it's Pro D Day. And Kelly says they rented out their Euro 17 times last season.
Huh.
So that's a decent turnout.
How much did they rent them for?
I'll rent them out so people can try them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And raise funds for the club. That's a good idea. I like
that's what we need to do.
We kind of need to do that. Except nobody wants to rent out their really high-end race car. So, so that's pretty much the deal with that guy. Where was that? All right. Okay, so this weekend, long weekend for a lot of kids. So a lot of people won't be around. Following week, back to normal, regular scheduled program.
And racing.
And hopefully racing for 2 days.
2 full days, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I have battery or juice or hopefully I can get more sleep this time.
Yeah, sleeps for the week.
Well, I'm thinking if we start early in the day, I might not need to stay until 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then drive all the way back home for an hour. Get 3 or 4 hours of sleep and then drive all the way back.
Yeah.
Not really well planned. 2 trucks. So that's how he's doing it. Okay. So they run 2 trucks. Am I getting this right, Kelly? Let me know. They run 2 trucks. So you can rent out the 2 trucks and get a little bit of a taste. It's kind of like those really, really high-end drug dealers. They give a little bit of a taste to get you hooked, and then you're done. Yeah. You're done.
Hooked, you're in there.
Next thing you're going to, what would it be? It wouldn't be an AA class. What would you call it? Racers Anonymous? RA class.
RA.
That's what it would be. RA. Racers Anonymous. You just can't stop. You're addicted. You can't stop. You spend all your money. You sell your car. You remortgage or finance your house. Everything just so you can race and be fast.
Go racing.
Right? All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed tonight. I really, really, once again, thank you, Luke, for coming on and giving us some really good insight on the racing and how the X4 platform is going to work out for everybody. I hope you guys like the new format that we're running for new products. Hopefully I can streamline it a little bit more and make it smoother even. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Thanks for coming on. And we will catch you on the next video.
See you guys trackside.